We're back with even more Shacknews awards. Feels like this will never end. And we want to do something more expansive with this award. We're going to give an award for Best Expansion of 2021. And I don't know, does someone want to define what we're talking about here?
I would if I understood it.
I'm not really sure either, David. It's like not a DLC. It's bigger than that, I think.
Would you say it has to have like its own title, right?
That you explained it as something that like an expansion is expanding on the core of the game, which means that it's like integrated with the game. So you can't really play the game without also playing the expansion or vice versa. Whereas a DLC could be like on a very small scale. It could be like a random item that you just download and you use it, but you don't need it. The game doesn't need it. Other players don't need it. Yeah.
Animal Crossing 2.0.
Okay.
Correct. That's
so
an
there's
expansion.
Our first nomination from David, ACNH 2.0. One of the biggest patches I've seen to a video game in a very long time. Adds a lot of stuff. I was playing it this weekend with my friends in Japan, and they became obsessed with the stretching in the town hall.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I think that's a really fun, cute thing they added. There's a coffee shop now. They increased the amount of bridges and inclines you can make. They added trips, like boat trips to places, and
the beauty of the 2.0 update is that it launched within hours of a paid DLC. So even if you skip that paid DLC, which I'm sure we'll discuss in another nebulous category, this game, if you play Animal Crossing, you just get it. You get all the new stuff. You don't have to pay for it. It's one of the best expansions / expansive patches I've played. I've been playing Animal Crossing almost daily since it came out almost 2 years ago, although I did take a couple of weeks off before the 2.0 hit. And I know Bill got back into it. I'm sure he can speak to that. My wife did. It feels, I won't go so far as to say it feels like a new game, but the new features are so well integrated that it feels like they've been there from the beginning, which is I think how these sorts of things should feel. It's almost like the charms in the Diablo 2 expansion back in the day. It's like, why wasn't this there to begin with? It feels perfect.
It reminds me of the Super Mario Maker 2 update that included the Master Sword and all the new enemies and stuff. Like it really changed the game.
Right.
And for the better. And I think that's the case with this 2.0 update and ACNH. Is like there's just so much that's been added to this game.
The coolest things for me is that, like, you know, I typically don't, like, I don't know what time people wake up. I'm not a 6 a.m. guy, right? So when the game kicks off, like 5 a.m. I think is the reset or whatever locally, right? But I was able to change it. I play usually in the evening, and sometimes when I'm watching television late at night, like that's when I kind of pick it up and do my Animal Crossing. So they introduced this cool feature called ordinances, where you can change a few things. Like you could have your villagers clean up your island from weeds if you wanted to, or I changed the times that my villagers are active, and also shifted it so like Nook's Cranny and other shops are open a little bit later, so that instead of like showing up when I'm typically play and everything's closed and everything, and it's just me running around the island, it's like more alive and vibrant now, and that's cool. And they added cooking.
I will say that one of my biggest negatives for this game is that they added ordinances, but you can't legalize marijuana on your island. Despite that, I think that's kind of lame.
Yeah, but the creators out there have made great strides toward marijuana and smoking on Animal Crossing. I think I showed you some GIFs on Reddit. It's pretty great.
There's definitely some bong-shaped characters that have been added to Animal Crossing 2.0.
So one of the new features is the polish effect, where once you've completely polished a piece of furniture, you can add an effect to it. And one of those effects is a hazy miasma-like cloud of whatever you would like it to be. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those cool little touches. I also love the mystery islands that you can take with Captain, the turtle, are different from the mystery islands you can fly to. The Captain's mystery islands can be in different seasons. I came to one. I actually posted a clip on Twitter where every rock I hit gave me star fragments from different seasons and signs.
Wow.
So it's a lot more exciting to go and do those, especially if you've tired of Mystery Islands, Flying Dodo Airlines, which are all kind of more or less the same. You have a very small, like infinitesimal chance of getting one with good stuff. But these, it's almost like every other one I've gotten great loot, good recipes, all that sort of stuff.
It also expanded Harv's Island, right?
Yep.
And
That's the
so
biggest.
it kind of eliminated, because one of the things that Animal Crossing would do is like you would have to wait for Red, for example, the shady art dealer, to show up whenever he felt like showing up, and it's probably like once a week that you would see Red, but you didn't know what day. And now Red, among other characters, now has a permanent place on Harv's Island. So I go see Red every single day. So as I'm trying to fill out my collection of art, I don't have to wait and play for the next 19, 20 weeks to just randomly get Red or randomly see what he's doing. Like I can go there every day and see what he's got. Same for the lady that sells the carpets. Same for the fancy clothes. There's furniture customization there. Mortimer's the greatest thing to happen to video games in the history of video games, which is is he a turtle?
Tortimer, yeah, he was a mayor in the older games.
Tortoise?
A tortoise.
Yeah.
Tortoise,
And wears a little like acorn head kind of thing.
Now, he's Tortimer, but now during this season he's Cortimer, and he gives you acorns the first time
every
you talk
day.
to
He's
him.
like, here, have acorns, and you're just like, that's delightful. I'll take some acorns.
Here's the I can't remember what it's called on Harv's Island, but basically the camp that you can help him build. There's a character from the 3DS version also. If you remember the furniture customizers, the couple, they own that shop. They're in ACNH now, but what they can do is, you know how on your island you might see like a desktop computer come up for sale in the store, but it's always the same color. If you take any store-bought item to him, you can quote unquote customize it so that it's any other variation of that item. So rather than waiting for it to arbitrarily show up in your store or have to find other friends to trade with, you can just say, oh, hey, I've always wanted the white desktop or the silver. They'll just customize it for you. Whoops. And it actually fills out your catalog. So now I can order a silver desktop computer if I want.
I actually sent the gaming desk that I got, I actually took the gaming desk to that furniture person and had them customize OSIFs for the stock trading. So when I sent him one, that's where I got it customized, because it wasn't the one that I got originally. I had to go and get it fixed up.
A trading desk.
Yeah, dude. I have one that's first person gaming. It's my gaming desk. So
nice.
And it has a jetpack now.
Yeah, and there's a jetpack.
The game does have jetpack, so I do like jetpack. That is a good thing.
But really, it's just
this coffee shop in the game now.
There's a coffee shop, Brewster.
I go for coffee every day, sometimes twice a day.
Yep. It even warns you, like, you shouldn't drink too much caffeine, which is such a Nintendo.
And if you refuse the pigeon milk, you'll offend Brewster.
Oh yeah, dude. I fuck with him. Like he's like, you should drink it while it's hot. I'm like, I like it cool. And then it just keeps drawing ellipses until you finally decide to drink. And Brewster's just giving you a stink eye the whole time. I'm like, I want it to cool down, man. This is how I like my coffee.
Yeah.
Brewster's great.
I still, and this is more of just a criticism of the franchise in general, but I would love for them to add multiplayer mini games to this. Like, it would be cool if I could build a bowling alley on my island and you guys could come over and bowl with me or something. It just feels like a lot of the times they make stuff. Animal Crossing is really a dollhouse. Like, so it's just, oh, I got a new thing I can put in my dollhouse, basically.
Or Legos.
Yeah, or Legos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the items that they added they're just more items.
Right.
You know, and I like that they're adding stuff. They're keeping the game fresh. And they're giving people a reason to like continue grinding for bells and stuff. They also introduced a new currency, right, Bill?
That's part of the DLC, the Pokey.
Oh, okay. So that's separate.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to that in another discussion. But no, that's a solid nomination. Does anyone else have a nomination for this best expansion category?
Yes.
Go for it.
And I know that Sam is going to be right here with me for this one. Disco Elysium got itself a little bit of a final cut, and they added voice acting to the whole game. which had to be a monumentous thing for an indie studio to do, because that game is very narrative rich. And against all odds, the voice acting is really, really good for the most part. They added that's a big Disco Elysium is such a narrative rich game. Like, if the voice acting was off, if it sucked, if it was annoying, if it felt cheap, that would be very blatant. And that's like something that you would just have to deal with for that whole thing. And it's like a 2-digit hours long game. I really think that they did an excellent job with every character in that game. I hear a lot of people say that Kuno, like, they had limited voice acting in the original game, and it would be like things like, well, I think, or just like short little asides in it, and some of those performances were not that great. I hear a lot of people say that Kuno really sucked, and he still sucks in the the final cut, but they like
he does not.
They made him into a sensible kind of suck.
Bam is
I love Kuno. I think Kuno is a fantastic character, and there's elements within the story that make him far more lovable, I think. But you have to go down certain quests and whatnot.
Yeah, more than that, they added these vision quests to the game, which there are 4 of them, and you can only discover 1 per playthrough. And because it's based upon the choices that you've made throughout the game that affect your ideological leanings, your political leanings. And so, like, you've got this kind of quest that will take into this late game quest that will take into consideration the choices you've made throughout the game, and sort of put you on this little bizarre side adventure based on where you lean. And I think that's a really cool way to expand upon what was already kind of a socio-political story. They did I know that the final cut isn't tip-top shape on all platforms, but I do believe that for what they've done, what they've added to this, Zaum deserves a lot of credit.
There was also, if I'm not mistaken, a hardcore mode included in the final cut, which basically made the game more difficult. Mm-hmm. So the choices that you make, the skills that you choose to upgrade, had more immediate impacts, so that you had to really consider your decisions, which just kind of added a new element to those who had already played it through like a couple of times.
Yeah, that's a value add.
Yeah. When the game first released, just on the voice acting element, only the first line of every paragraph basically was voiced, and now to have the millions of lines of dialogue all voiced by a just incredible cast, I don't know how they did it. It's so much work, and the directors to be able to capture those performances, it's a fantastic expansion. It just makes the game better and more approachable. And because one thing that I know that Chris often says on his streams is that, like, what if I can't read? And it's like, yeah, well, that's exactly the thing. Like, when I first played Disco Elysium, I sat there for hours just reading through everything. But that can be tiring. So to have just the lines spoken to me as I can kind of think about something else or investigate my inventory, it lifts the whole experience from something that was difficult to kind of get into to now it's far more approachable.
You know who's a real star, who's like a major breakout star in this is like the guy that voices you have like these mental aspects in the game based on your skills, and there's a voice for every one of the 24 skills that like voices your inner thoughts. And it's like a deep voiced jazz musician, and he gives such a good like character to your mental aspects in the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any other nominations for this category?
Go ahead, Sam.
I would love to nominate Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life. I know this might be a bit of an uphill battle against Animal Crossing, but I would love to congratulate Rare and implore you guys to consider it for nomination, for your vote, because
that's valid nomination.
What Rare has managed to do since the beginning of Sea of Thieves to now is, I think, an incredible turnaround. Like, I enjoyed the game when it first launched, but I can freely admit that it was in a under-delivered state. And now, like, what's it, 3 years later, and Rare is working hand in hand with Disney and has incorporated Pirates of the Caribbean lore into the game in not like a ham-fisted or shoe-in way. Like it feels kind of natural, and being able to play through these iconic Pirates of the Caribbean stories and areas, it was really incredible. And yeah, Greg, I think you may have had a note down about that.
No, I haven't had a chance to play it yet, mainly because, not to get too off camera, just like the melee combat in that game and the gunplay is so atrocious I can't do it anymore. So but this is different though. This is a single player experience that people have been asking for the game. There's a lot of exploration. There's a lot of narrative. It's a narrative driven expansion. You're in your own world, so people can't mess with you while you're doing this, and that's what people have wanted from Sea of Thieves since its first launch.
Yeah.
So they've been listening to the fans for sure, and I agree with Sam. It does deserve a little of some praise.
Yeah, they added some underwater content as well, which I think was a massive component that was missing for a game that is like 80% water. The fact that there's now like mermaids in the game that were added with this update. Oh, sorry, I just received a. Oh, sorry, I thought something crashed just then. Yes, so being able to actually dive underwater and explore these locations and breathe underwater using these new mechanics, yeah, I think the expansion did a fantastic job at just enriching the story and giving players more opportunity to go on these adventures that really solidifies what it means to be a pirate. And yeah, I think Rare has done a fantastic job.
Nice. That's a valid nomination, Sam, and I think Greg's point is sound though. The gunplay in that game makes me hate it. But the less that I am in a PvP situation, the less I notice that. So this expansion definitely sounds appealing to me. But yeah, it's a good one. So we have 3 nominations right now. Should we include this is the Nintendo 64 expansion pack?
Oh, brother.
Fell on their face with that one.
I just wanted to mention it so we could tell them how bad it is.
What about the
How
Genesis
could
one?
you?
No.
Those
Sorry,
games
because
are
that was
already
included.
in.
Yeah, there's plenty of ways to play Genesis.
And it's like, and your update for Nintendo 64 this month is 1 game. You get
What the
1
hell is
game
that?
this month.
Dude, anyone who thought this would be anything else has not been paying attention since NES Online. They have not known how to handle Virtual Console or any of its half-baked permutations since like 2008. They're done.
Wii U had a pretty mighty fine Virtual Console store.
Yeah, like once upon a time, they sure
was
did.
2012. So
2012 Wii U?
Yeah.
Yeah, back in Wii U.
Yeah, but most of that was bringing over games that were on the Wii Virtual Console.
I know.
And
That's
then
all they
once
needed to do again. That's all they had to do.
And then once they went to Switch and said, "Well, nope, you got to buy it all over again."
What
Like,
if
what
this
is
is a subscription?
You
That
know
was
what?
worse.
I love Nintendo, but yeah, like they need to get their shit together where this is
Yeah.
concerned.
I hope they learn how to internet someday. And sell
Not
legacy
in our
content.
lifetime. Not in our lifetime.
They're spending $2 billion. They said it. We're spending $2 billion to improve our internet infrastructure.
We're gonna learn how to internet. We're gonna make a
going to.
Smash with actually good netcode next time.
I have zero interest in multiplayer or anything really. I just want them to get their legacy catalog together because like they are the Disney video games and they're doing this back catalog such a disservice. Like it's disgraceful, honestly.
Xbox Game Pass is just handing them their ass. Like Xbox is like, we're gonna take new games and we're gonna let you just like play whenever you want, and you can play them on the cloud. And it's like Nintendo's like, we can't even.
They
give
fucked
you, like,
up. They fucked up Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's not winning the award or even.
Because
I don't even know
if
it was
brought up,
name, but
I
don't know why it was brought up, but yeah.
No. I agree it was brought up, but
Okay, are there any actual nominations left here?
I think
Denny had one. Denny had one.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I originally I was thinking like it might be best DLC, but more I thought about it, I want to nominate Streets of Rage 4 with Mr. X's Nightmare. because it fundamentally the DLC expanded to the point in which it actually made me enjoy the game a lot more. They added modes that were free to everyone as well. There's a trading room with that expansion that was awesome to be able to use, which I really enjoyed. Also, you get the 3 characters with the DLC, but they add in some additional hard difficulties, which I suffered through. but it was a lot of fun. And they also added in some new moveset features too. So you can basically, when you go through the survival mode that they added in, you can add in additional moves and dash options to each individual character in each game mode, which completely expands like your combo potential and other opportunities to the point in which I got a lot more fun out of this game. And it was a great game already. I think that the way that they expanded on things with just the combo potential and then the additional game modes, trading room was huge as well. So I just wanted to bring that one up because I think they did an awesome job with an already amazing game, with adding things fundamentally to the overall game itself that make playing it in the long term a lot of fun, even if you're playing on your own. So that's my nomination.
It's a good one. Streets of Rage 4 showed up on our top 10 list last year. It I think it won Best Old School Throwback. It was a delightful game. A lot of these games we've mentioned were great games already, and they were just made better by these expansions. So it's going to be a question of which one really resonated with you the most. I think it's time to vote, unless there's anyone else that wants to nominate anything.
Like, do you have something to nominate? Or was I mistaken?
I think it might be a better DLC nomination.
Okay.
But I guess just in case, Ghost of Tsushima Iki Island. Fucking awesome game, and they just gave you more of it. It improved upon a few things, like it gave you the ability to charge with your horse. And so there were like, you'd have these badass moments where you're like charging into battle, you hit someone with the horse, you slash someone, jump off your horse, and like stab a dude to death. Brought like a more story into it, kind of a Sins of the Father story that it added. I mean, that Ghost of Tsushima was already that, but it kind of expanded upon that with its own narrative. New island to explore, much more vibrant and colorful new mini games, new animals to pet. You could find deer and feral cats and stuff like that, and befriend them to get new charms. A few new little mini games here and there. Another castle to raid. And yeah, a new type of poison as well that was like psychedelic, and a lot of that was the other cool thing about it is like the story went like a way creepier route and like had a lot of like illusion stuff. It was interesting. So yeah, I'll throw that out there.
Okay.
I think that is that expansion or is that DLC?
It's expansion, I think. I think it's fair to call it that because it's not. You can't just buy the island, can you?
I mean,
you have to buy the director's cut.
I think that you can buy it separately.
Yeah.
So maybe it is. This is such a weird category. We're
I'll nominate it for both.
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
And
Let's
I have a feeling we're just gonna get on with this and give it to Animal Crossing. So let's vote. Chris, what you got?
I'm gonna go with Disco Elysium. I think the voice acting is monsters.
It is a huge undertaking. I'm just gonna get my vote out of the way. I'm voting for Animal Crossing. It's a massive update. Blake.
You know what? I'll give it to Sam's Sea of Thieves. Little shout out.
Well, I'm glad you nominated Ghost of Tsushima. Sam.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go with Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life. The fact that every bit of expansion in Sea of Thieves has been free, and it just gets better and better. Yeah.
The game is, on Game Pass, so it's pretty affordable. Bill.
Animal Crossing.
Ozzy.
I'm gonna say Disco Elysium.
Okay. TJ.
Disco Elysium.
Okay. Greg,
I'm gonna wait and see what the other 3 votes are. I'm gonna abstain.
you're passing?
Yeah.
Donovan,
It's Animal Crossing for sure for me.
Danny, Streets of Rage?
You know, I'm gonna give it a Disco Elysium to make it interesting.
Oh my god. David,
I want to say, Sam, I really like your layout for a Sea of Thieves. As someone who hasn't really played much of that game since it launched a few years ago, it didn't quite grab me, but like I get where you're coming from. I thought that was a good argument. I will go with Animal Crossing just because the 2.0 update hit at a time when I was starting to kind of peter off that game a little bit, and it got me right back into it.
okay,
Yeah,
Greg.
correct, Sam.
Sam and TJ made some good cases about the VO. That's a tremendous achievement, so I'll do Disco Elysium.
Really? Okay, Greg.
The problem with Sea of Thieves is that the combat. Like, I hate the sword playing the gunplay is.
How many people here have actually played the new Disco Elysium expansion?
I have a
35 minutes.
35 minutes. Wow.
I haven't played
And
much.
how many
of it,
hours have you played of Animal Crossing since the patch, David?
I played more Disco Elysium than Animal Crossing.
Well,
So
no
yeah, that's
shit.
much.
50 plus, but I mean, everyone here I thought made good arguments for
No,
their cases.
both.
So.
All these things are great. But
Yeah.
Greg, how many minutes of Disco Elysium Director's Cut have you played?
What does that matter? I'm listening to other people's points.
Okay, fair enough. He didn't play any, folks. 5-4-2. Disco Elysium beats Animal Crossing 2.0. That's
Wow.
Suck it down, Tom Nook.
yeah.
Evil
Wow.
is big.
And if you add up all the time people have played Disco Elysium in this entire room, it wouldn't equal what David put into Animal Crossing since the
It's
update.
2.0.
That's all right. That's all right.
But you
If
know
anyone
what?
wants to play The Sims 5.0, that's fine.
Look,
If
sorry,
you had,
sorry that the best-selling video game of the last 2 years gave you this massive update that adds all sorts of stuff.
I'm
It's
not.
fair.
I'm
get
not
it.
salty. I'm not salty.
I get
No.
it. A bunch of people recorded VO for an indie game. Congratulations.
aw,
Oh,
That game is terrible on Switch. We're giving an award to this thing.
Best expansion.
Unplayable. Unplayable on Nintendo Switch. But congratulations. No, seriously. Studio Zom deserves praise for that game. They may not have gotten enough in past years, so here we are, giving them the award for Best Expansion of the year 2021 at Shacknews. Congratulations.
Enjoy the definitive edition of this hit RPG, Disco Elysium, the final cut. A free upgrade for all players.